Well, a warm welcome to this talk. It's Thursday evening, the 20th of May. Now, I want to start off with a bit of context because there's so much going on, you can kind of lose track of things. Now, I've put some of the main English-speaking countries on here just so we can see where we're at. Australia, New Zealand, of course, down the bottom. United Kingdom, official data's going down, but some COVID symptom tracker data does appear to be going up a little bit at the moment due to the new variant. So that's going to clarify itself over the next few days, I would think. I've left Ireland off there, but I think they're just above the UK, but coming down. But look at these nice downward trends in the United States and in Canada. So encouraging, but Canada's still got a way to go, obviously. Well, as we all have. We're not there yet. European countries, starting at the bottom, UK, then Finland, then Poland, then Hungary, then Germany, then Belgium, then France, then Sweden. But I think you would agree that the trends are all downward since April. These are figures for April, May. So vaccination programmes coming down. I would estimate that places like France and Belgium are about a month behind the UK in terms of the reduction in cases, but the direction is currently looking good and the vaccination programmes are catching up. So it is encouraging. New daily confirmed cases per million. Now, Nepal and India, still conditions are bad there, and we'll see how we go for time today, but I've got a report on India from some particularly disturbing new disease that's not a new disease, but another disease with the black fungus that's become more prevalent. Now, the cases in India do appear to be going down, but we do know that the pandemic in India has moved into the small towns and villages where the surveillance is terrible. Most patients still will simply not be diagnosed. So while we don't know, we might estimate that the cases in India are flattish at the moment, because although they're going down in the cities, we believe they're still going up, and I've had reports that they're still going up in the villages and rural areas, which is bad because there's so little medical support there. Now, Pakistan and Bangladesh, now the testing in these countries isn't great, but they do seem to have many less cases, and thankfully they don't seem to have the India variant. Let's hope they keep the India variant out. That's going to be the big one to watch. Of course, both neighbouring India, obviously, as is Nepal. They are taking quite a lot of restrictions to try and keep it out, but they're still geographically close, and there's a lot of toing and froing and trade across the border. So we'll be watching those with interest while we just remember the suffering in the people of Nepal and India at the moment. So this is vaccine dose administered per 100 people. India, it's actually gone down lately in terms of daily figures. Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, pretty low. So the vaccination programme there, considering that in India alone there's nearly 1.4 billion, well over 1.3 billion people, it's not particularly promising. There's a long way to go unless things dramatically increase. We need an international effort on this. We really do need an international effort. Now, confirmed cases in Israel, very low, and the United Kingdom. Now, of course, you don't need me to tell you there's a lot of other difficulties, which is completely beyond the remit of this channel in Israel at the moment. But my understanding is that the testing and the COVID surveillance is still going on. So there is optimism that these are reliable figures. And again, they're showing the success of the vaccination programme. Forget the right screen. So United Kingdom, and the United Kingdom following. So, but look at Israel, where it's just come down dramatically. And deaths per million also down very dramatically. I forget the figure. The deaths in the UK today were about 15, I think, something in that order, 12, 13, 14, 15-ish. Should have checked the right figure, but it was about that. Israel likewise still quite low, and there we have what seems to be explaining this: the Israeli vaccine figures and the UK vaccine figures rapidly catching up. So good news on those two countries there that are leading the vaccination effort. Let's just have a look at the UK figures here actually. So over 70% of the population, this is live now, Thursday evening, this is live data. So vaccinated people. Now the daily numbers here, so first dose 264,000, second dose 369, so that's like it's like 600,000 vaccines given today in the UK. This is good, it's picked up a lot, it really is quite encouraging. So cases, actually the cases have changed since I looked at them this morning. So the cases on the week are actually up 0.2% on the week. But we see that deaths are down. Oh, there's the latest daily deaths. I think it was 12 or 15 yesterday. It was 7 today. So that's excellent news. Well, it's still 7 people dying, but it's way down on what it was. Likewise, hospital admissions down. And when we see that in graphic format, it really is quite gratifying to see that drop off. And if we look at deaths, again, we see a dramatic reduction in daily deaths. And while we're here, we might as well look at hospitalisations, healthcare. So new people admitted to hospital. And if we look at the numbers in hospital, does it give us that? Patients in hospital? Yeah. So down quite dramatically. So it really is quite a relief looking at these pictures. We've had things so high for so long. It really is quite a relief. Now, I spent more time on that than I meant to, but I wanted to look at this study, a third dose trial, Cov-Boost study. So we are doing studies in the UK at the moment to look at whether we're going to need a third dose this winter, a third vaccine dose. Or if you had the Johnson & Johnson, a second dose. But a booster dose this winter. So that's what this is currently studying. And there's a question mark over it. So factors, variants, what's going to happen with variants, and vaccine efficacy. Now, how effective the vaccines are going to be. Now, at the moment, it's looking like, regardless of the variants, the vaccines are stopping people getting very sick and being hospitalised. So far, I'm actually, I don't know if it's just my mood today, but I'm actually feeling fairly optimistic about that. It looks like the vaccines are stopping people getting sick and hospitalised and dying with the new variants. Not 100%, of course not. But very significantly so. Less infections, even less people getting hospitalised, even less people dying with the new variants, with the vaccines we have at the moment. Now, big question mark, of course, is longevity of protection. I mean, what is it going to be? And that really is an unknown. Personally, as I've said before, I'm optimistic for a year or more, but I have no right to say that because I don't know. Trial starts in June, 3,000 people being recruited. All ages who had their first dose early on in the vaccination programme. So these are people that could well be running out of vaccine coverage if longevity is, well, that's what, December, January, February, March, April, May, June. So that would be 6 months after their first vaccine. So people that have been vaccinated in December or January being recruited into the trial. Professor Saul Faust, Chief Investigator, University of Southampton. It could be that some age groups may not need a booster and others do. It's possible. It's possible. The aim is to find out whether there should be a booster campaign or not. At the moment, we don't know. And which vaccines to use, which would be the optimum vaccine. So basically, there's a lot of unknowns there. So you can see that this trial is desperately needed. Now, where are we in the UK in terms of vaccine supply? So this is vaccine supply in the UK. So these are vaccines that we've ordered. 100 million Oxford AstraZeneca. Good. Pfizer, BioNTech, 100 million. Valneva, 100 million. GlaxoSmithKline, Sanofi, 60 million. That's not around yet. Novavax, that could be coming on soon, 60 million. CureVac, hopefully not too long, 50 million. Janssen going at the moment, 30 million. Moderna 70 million. So that's what we've ordered in the UK. Now, given the population, I can't remember what it is, it's 64 million or something. So even if they need two, well, as they do need two vaccines. So we've got more than we need ordered. So hopefully we're going to carry on learning how to optimise the rollout in terms of minimising side effects and maximising efficacy. And this is the other bit that's coming on. So this trial, vaccines to be trialled. Now they're going to try booster doses of 7 different vaccines. So really quite interesting. So they're going to try a booster doses of the Oxford AstraZeneca, which is an adenovirus vector vaccine. They're going to try booster doses of the Pfizer, which is a messenger RNA vaccine. Booster doses of the Moderna, which is a messenger RNA vaccine. Novavax is moth-produced spike protein. So it's a protein-based, basically, vaccine. Now, what this has done here, they've done a couple of really clever stages to get the DNA that codes for the spike protein into moth cells, and they culture these up in huge vats, just like brewers culture up vats of yeast to make beer, and then they purify the protein, add an adjunct. An adjunct is something that's added to the vaccine to stimulate the immune system further and improve efficacy. And that's coming on fairly well, we understand. Janssen adenovirus vector, of course, single dose. That's the only single dose at the moment. Have heard that the Chinese are just bringing out a single dose vaccine as well. More on that when I know more about it. But single dose vaccines would save a lot of trouble. Valneva is an inactivated virus. Now this one, they just brew up the whole virus, the whole thing. So just brew up the whole viral particle. The whole thing with the spike proteins and everything. Brew up untold gazillions of those, kill it, and then inject it dead. Then that means you're getting antigens from that bit, you're getting antigens from that bit, you're getting antigens from all over. And that should hopefully generate what we would call a polyclonal immune response. Many different sorts of antibodies would be raised, and many different sorts of B and T cells could be generated to that virus. That's the hope. So far, it hasn't worked quite as well as we'd hope, but the data on this one is looking good. CureVac messenger RNA virus. And they're going to give some in half doses, and there's going to be a placebo group. So there's going to be all of these different vaccines here are going to be given as a second dose, along with some at half doses. Remember, we had that interesting finding when the half dose of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine was given, and it actually appeared to improve efficacy, which was interesting. So that is it's not been forgotten, that is being tested as well. And a placebo group. But bear in mind, this is just for the third dose of the vaccine. Of course, now for new vaccines, now that we know vaccines are so effective and are saving so many lives, if someone's got a brand new vaccine to test, it would be unethical now because we have proven treatments. If we had a new vaccine, say vaccine X, and you tested that against a placebo, then of course it's going to be better. We know that with the vaccines now. So it would be unethical to do that because we'll be leaving the placebo group unprotected. So what will happen from now on is new vaccine X will be tested against the Pfizer or the Moderna or the Oxford AstraZeneca or the Janssen or whatever it is, comparing vaccine with vaccine. Now then you'll probably get a much more subtle difference. You know, you might get 92% efficacy in one and 88% efficacy in another. But when you've got the larger numbers, you will be able to tell the difference. You will be able to tell the difference. So that's the way the trials will be done from now on, because completely unethical not to vaccinate people now. Hope to protect against all current variants. Now, these are all of these vaccines we've mentioned here. All of these, every single one, was actually developed against the original wild-type strain of the virus. And even though there's been such mutations and protection efficacy has gone down somewhat, the protection is still fairly good, and particularly good against severe disease and death. So again, we've been really quite fortunate the way this virus has mutated, in a sense, that the vaccines are still keeping people out of hospital. Not entirely, but largely, and preventing deaths. And even though we are getting cases now in the UK, thankfully, the people that are getting hospitalised are mostly those who have refused the vaccine. So older groups who have been vaccinated are not getting as sick. Younger groups, thankfully, don't get as sick with such frequency anyway. Older people, often with comorbidities, who have not been vaccinated, they're the ones that are getting sick. So, and going by the people waiting for vaccines in places like Bolton and places like that, I think the message is getting through that you know, these vaccines are life-saving. 18 sites across the UK is that's for the trial. So this vaccine trial is going to be in 18 sites across the UK. So it's not just one area, which is good. Participants will keep diaries of any side effects, so we'll know about the side effects of the different vaccines as well. And of course, there's going to be so many combinations here. So someone could have had Oxford AstraZeneca, and then, for example, their booster dose might be a CureVac. Or someone like me could have had Pfizer, then Pfizer, and my booster dose might be an Oxford AstraZeneca or a Valneva. You know, there's going to be so many combinations. It's going to be interesting to see how that affects efficacy and side effects. Because if people are given booster doses in autumn, because they already have a level of immunity, you would expect them to get some inflammatory side effects like sore arms, maybe feeling a bit off for 12-24 hours. They're all possible. Some people will, some people probably won't. But because you've got this immune response to the existing immunity and you're injecting new antigen, then you may get a degree of that. And it's good to monitor what is what and what combinations are good and what are bad or worse. UK variant hotspots, surge testing and vaccinations going on. Now, people are only supposed to be vaccinated in their priority age groups. And in the UK, it's over 34s in some area now. But I've got an email from people that are younger than that are being vaccinated in these areas. So what is being said officially and what is being done on the ground is slightly different. Not saying it's right or wrong, but the simple fact of the matter is, because although vaccine supplies are good, they're not as good as we want them to be. So a younger person that gets vaccinated in a priority area, for example, where there might be the Indian variant, means someone in another area is not getting vaccinated who might be older. I'm afraid that's the simple facts of the matter. So good that people are getting vaccinated, but bad that it's going to delay the vaccine rollout for other people. Pity we didn't stop the flights and we didn't need to do this. But we didn't stop the flights, so we do need to do this. Areas identified. Oh, this is interesting. Areas identified for this surge vaccination and testing. A lot of it is travel patterns, the way people move around. But it's analysing wastewater. And they're doing PCR testing on sewage. So they're actually taking sewage and because basically the virus is excreted in the feces, in the stool. So when you go to the toilet, you're going to excrete virus if you have it. Now, what proportion of people excrete virus via the GI tract? I don't know. I think it's pretty high. But certainly there's enough people in the community excreting virus via the GI tract for it to be detected in sewage. Now, you might get a very low viral load in any one 10 mil specimen of sewage or whatever it is. But of course, the PCR test multiplies it up and you will find it. And that is the way that, and not only that, not only can they identify the virus, once they've once they've done the PCR test, they can actually identify the genotype of the virus. They can send it for sequencing. And that's how we know these hotspots. So, for example, I think Tyneside is a hotspot for the India variant because it's been detected in the sewage. So it's very clever. So it's testing for the virus in the sewage, first of all, and then being able to genomically analyse it from the sewage. So quite sophisticated, really, and it does seem to be working, and that's allowed for surge testing and vaccination. Now, if people are in these areas, you probably know where you are, but here's some Bedford, Burnley, Hounslow, Kirklees, Leicester, North Tyneside, Glasgow and Moray. So if you're in those areas, then you would probably want to carry on taking more precautions than if you weren't in one of those areas, to be quite honest. until we get this under control. So direct quote from, this was Matt Hancock I think said this, an incredibly sensitive biosecurity surveillance system, so he seems happy with it. India variant, oh there's more than that now, there's well over 3,000 now, well over 3,500 actually. India variant in the UK, so it is increasing exponentially, and I do expect the India variant to become the dominant variant in the UK. Now, I did look at the Centres for Disease Control site just before I came on, and they haven't updated it. It's still as 0.3 to 0.7 with the India variant, the 0.2 version of the India variant. So well out of date, I'm afraid, for the data from the States. But anyway, so vaccines, I think we've already looked at that for the UK, 70.2%. But bear in mind, this is only adults. This is over 18. So this is 18 and over, not the whole population. And England and Wales, 34. If you're 34 years old or older, you can now book a vaccine. So please do so. So US variants, behind the times, don't really know, much higher than the CDC website is saying. Now, how much more infectious the India variant is, we really don't know. Is it 5%, 10%, 50%? We really don't know that yet. Now, I'll just tell you a couple more things, then we'll finish. FDA Pfizer storage, this is good news. FDA authorised undiluted thawed, so it's thawed from about minus 60 degrees centigrade. Vials to be stored in the refrigerator at 2 to 8 degrees centigrade. No, same as the beer in your fridge, same temperature, for up to a month. So that's good. That's good. That makes the logistics a lot easier. It can be stored in the fridge as long as it's not unopened, undiluted for a month in the fridge, and that's enough to get it all around the States or all around Europe, isn't it? It used to be 5 days, now it's a month, so that's good. Now this is bad. This is very not good at all. About 8% of people in the United States who've had the first dose have not yet had their second dose. Now if you're watching this video, I strongly suspect you have, but if you know people who haven't had their second dose, then you might want to advise them and remind them of the national guidelines to get 2 doses, unless they've been fortunate and got the Janssen, Johnson & Johnson, where they only need 1 dose. A few more things to say, but I think that's probably about enough for now. We'll just look at the figures in the States. So again, gratifying. These are the cases, and they're going down nicely. But still 27,000, 28,000 new cases per day, moving average 27,788 new cases per day. So it's not gone away, it is still community spreading in the States. And when we look at deaths in the States as well, they are dropping off, but painfully slowly. 7-day moving average, 497 deaths per day, and that was as of yesterday, as of the 19th of May. Anyway, I've included the link to that site. It's full of lots of information. If the internet is working, it will come. Anyway, with your internet connection and the CDC data, it is full of lots of useful information that you can peruse. Okay, I was going to talk about European Union opening up to fully vaccinated visitors, but we'll leave that. And I have had some questions on mucormycosis in India, this black fungus disease. Now, we did talk about this a few days ago, but I will do an update or a refresher on that shortly as well, because it's another problem that they simply don't need in India, but unfortunately is causing a lot of pain, suffering and death, as well as the COVID, as well as the cyclones that they're still just recovering from on the west coast. So spare a thought for our friends in, well, for the whole population in India. Okay, that is us for today. Thank you for watching.